Here we go.
Hello, and welcome to The Splain. Somehow it gets worse every
We
time.
nailed it. Like and subscribe if you like what we're talking about. We're talking to comedians. We're talking to Bay Area successes, such as our guest today.
Yeah,
Mark Christopher, welcome.
Hey guys.
Hello, Mark. How are you, buddy? It's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, I think I've seen you in the flesh sometime in the last, say, 5 years, Joe. Dan, I haven't seen. Yeah, since the golden era, since maybe your one-man show or something like
that.
Oh
my God!
You have wow, this is a first on the Splain. A comedian.
Can I drop the name? I remember it.
Yeah.
Who is aware of me as a comedian?
Regretrosexual. Yes.
Wow. Yes. Wow. That's a memory.
Regretrosexual. Wow. Thank you for plugging my show.
Who's interviewing who now?
By the way, that'll be playing 15 years ago at the Hudson Guild in LA. If you're not busy.
If you're a time traveler.
Thursday through Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth checking out.
Wait a minute. Most of the people who have been with you, had the good fortune to spend an hour with you guys, are not familiar with Dan as a stand-up comic.
Can you believe that? They don't have a sense of history.
Wow.
For the classics.
I hear these things like the kids not being able to write cursive, but this is more shocking still.
Yeah. It's very. I hope you take this in a good way, Mark. But you might be the oldest comedian that we've you're a contemporary of ours. You're in the same age. You remember
you to invite me onto this prior. I was just exchanging Dan Rothenberg jokes over the phone with Robert Mack a couple of days ago. He reminded me of
God.
Wow.
That's another name.
I'm feeling like a comedian again. Seriously.
We can get into the high.
I appreciate that.
Who are you going to call?
Mac Attack?
Yeah. And that was a history question.
Gen X Trivial Pursuit.
Gen X Trivial Pursuit. Yes.
Mark,
back when that meant it was Trivial Pursuit for young people.
Yeah.
Back when it was printed on cardboard.
Down for people without any sense of historical context.
Who are you going to call?
Yeah.
And that was a history question.
question.
That used to pop.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that one. Robert Mack remembered that one.
This whole podcast is going to be for people who don't know how to press like and subscribe. I just feel it already. I love it. But yeah,
I can feel the desperate desire to smash that button and not
but
smash.
All right,
here's the interesting thing though, right? Like, yeah, a lot of the comics that we've had on, like I want to focus on Bay Area comedians, at least comedians that started in the general San Francisco area, and and they're all over the place. They're worldwide. And Mark, you do remember, what that era was like, probably like at the end of it. But let's get your origin story. When did you start stand up? Where did you start stand up? Let's start there.
So to go way back, so the first stand-up set I ever did was probably either 91 or 92, just kind of like on a dare. I was a senior, I guess, at the University of Florida. There's a restaurant that's probably still there called the Orange and Brew. If it's not there, there's another one with the same name. And they had an open mic night, and I did that with another friend. It was fine. It was uneventful. I got a couple laughs, and then just remembered not getting a laugh on many things that I thought would certainly get laughs. You probably can think back to your first stand-up set. Didn't do another stand-up set until the year 2000, and it was just before I got in the car to drive to San Francisco, and I knew I was going to go to San Francisco and pursue stand-up comedy. So this is like right after New Year's, or after the Y2K New Year. I went to, I can't even remember what the place is called. I remember there was a place named there was a guy named AZ or something who I still see popping up on like South Florida area Facebook feeds, who was the host. And I did another like open mic there. It was a terrible setup, as many open mics are. There was like no one in the crowd except the other people who were there to do the mic, and they were all just in a panic looking at their notes. And after that, I got in the car, arrived in San Francisco. The first show I saw was a very, very rainy Sunday night showcase. I walked in soaking wet, was seated at a table by myself. Dan Gabriel was on stage hosting. Joe, you did a set. Gary Cannon did a set, and it was already like it was one of the first times he'd ever gotten up at the punchline, and his whole persona was already sort of there. And I was like, wow, who is this guy? Keeps referring to his own material. Like I should know this Gary Cannon joke, and I don't know it. So I was like, I kind of like bought into it a little bit, but that was kind of fun.
Little fun fact, still doing the same joke.
He's still doing the same jokes. I sold him a joke during at the end of my first comedy career and it remains the only actual joke in his act. I've seen him do it at the Hollywood Improv multiple times.
We will have Gary on.
You have to have Gary on.
Yeah, we will definitely have Gary on.
So after that, I'll speed up so it's not just this agonizing thing. But then, yeah, I think I got up for the first time in San Francisco at the Luggage Store, started doing all the Tony Sparks rooms, the Luggage Store, the Laundromat, which is
yeah. So, I know what you're talking about.
Brainwash.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And I tied across the finish line. The Brainwash.
The Tony Sparks tour.
Yeah. I was a regular at the Monday night Rosencrown show in Palo Alto.
Okay, yeah.
That was like where I did a lot of my, where I really felt cocky. First, probably like club week I ever got paid work was Rooster Teeth Feathers, headliner Phil Palisol, feature act Dan Rothenberg.
Wow. Whoa! Yeah. Rothenberg, you remember that?
That's a hot show.
That's a hot show.
Okay. Phil Palisol. Remind me. God, that sounds familiar. Who is that?
He's still out there. Well, one of the things that he might be, Sam Talent, Denver comic, often opens for Kyle Kinane, wrote a novel called Running the Light, which a lot of people will say is the best book about stand-up comedy. It's a novel, but about like a road dog, and people like say it's the best novel of that sort that's ever been written. Phil Palisol is one of the guys who does like voiceover for that. Is one of his claim to fame. He's got like a dry bar. He's got some other stuff. He opens with a joke about like, are you guys like me? Are you a little bit, disappointed that this is how I turned out? Kind of like playing off of his appearance. He's a pretty funny guy. Been around for a long time. Kind of like a balding ginger with glasses. Yeah.
Sounds like a funny Roosters headliner. The minute I see him, it'll come back to me. So I was featuring.
You were featuring.
How did that week go?
Well, I was excited to do it. I think I did reasonably well in the opening spot. When you're new and you're watching guys like who are at a level that's clearly beyond you, so you don't have that kind of jealousy thing going on. It's kind of amazing. It's like, wow, I really would love to get to, I'm not blowing smoke, but like Dan Rothenberg is just like a fucking killer. How much longer can it be before he's at that next level? And then Palisol goes up, and he's been around for a long time, and he's doing very well. And it starts to seem like magic. So yeah, I was very, very excited to do that week. I think you had at one point, I think Leslie Collar came out to watch one of the shows. So that's always a treat to get her kind of.
Wow. Wow, did you just bump us into some interesting Rothenberg lore?
I do not know.
Probably.
But I
Of course you were with her. Why do you invite a woman out to come see you
to
in a
Sunnyvale,
club?
yeah.
Come on.
So
hey babe, come watch me blow the headliner off the stage. I mean, that time between 2000, I mean, for me personally, between 2000 and 2004 is probably when I was at the height of my game, and locally I was plugged in. I was at the Punchline at Cobb's. Yeah, you know, it was an amazing scene back then, much smaller. So if you were in it, you know, there was a lot of work. You had all this artificial status kind of built into it. Let me ask you this. What do you remember, like good and bad, Mark? Like, what is one of your fondest memories about the San Francisco scene in that era? And what is something that you know, maybe not regret, but something that you're still like, man, that kind of sucked?
So the thing that I was doing comedy for 6 years, and then I was away for 13 years. I've been back for about 6 or 7, based mostly in Florida.
So you became a lawyer.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't mean to interrupt. I remember hearing about you. Oh, you got a scholarship to, it might have been an Ivy League school.
Northwestern.
And so this is amazing. I'm going to be full disclosure. This is a part of what's interesting about the Splain is I often realize who I'm talking to once the show starts.
It's very true.
This is not the first time. I just realized, okay, so I remember you going back to school.
Going away.
And then you came back. You became a lawyer, came back, and now that's who I was watching on YouTube.
Yes.
And now I'm back. I was here.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute.
You remember him.
Yeah.
I had no idea you knew who me. So
he opened for you at Roosters, man.
I opened for you at Rooster Teeth Feathers.
I know. I didn't put it. Didn't put it together.
I want to hear about you becoming a lawyer.
Okay, let's go back to where we were. See, I'm catching up.
Right. Yeah,
so
that's okay. So between 2000, 2004, you know, probably all of us, that was our golden era in the Bay Area comedy scene. What are just one fond memory of that time, and then one kind of bummer memory of that time?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't like a specific memory, but like having like been like a Bay Area comic and then like being based here, like having the Punchline and to a lesser degree Cobb's, but like the Punchline be the home club, just like that, whatever you're doing in the world of comedy or anything else, then at a certain time of night, you just go to home base and like everyone, the whole scene is there, and maybe the show is over, but the door is open for the comics, and there's like just a huge comic hang. There's just like so much more of a sense of community, and that it goes along with like having the Sunday showcase and just the way the industry has changed now. And so many headliners are bringing their own features or maybe even their own openers that it's like there are almost no feature spots open up at most, or like a club that's run the way the most improvs are run. But like the way it was, aside from like Attell, who would always bring Sean Rouse around, if you know you had a headliner coming through, it was always like, oh wow, you look down the schedule a couple of months and like who's going to be the opener who gets that, who's going to be the feature that gets that, and there was a real like sense of progress. If you like, oh, you know, I'm not, no offense to anybody, like I got a Will Durst week. Okay, good. I'm in the doors. Like, oh man, next time I get the Greg Proops week, and then a year from now I'm getting Attell. Holy shit, I'm on my way. And you know, same thing. And then like I might get, I'm getting Attell. I'm getting Burr. I might get bumped to feature. You know, there was a real sense, and it kind of, you know, it kind of meant something. And you know, and it's a profession where you don't get a lot of meaningful validation. You get a lot of like, hey, you were hilarious, but like in your comedy mind, you're always like, at least I'm like, okay, there's a reason not to take that drunk person, you know, it's kind of like the drunk person telling you you were hilarious is kind of like your aunt telling you how handsome you are and you're going to make a wonderful woman very happy someday. But like, being able to move up that ladder at the punchline kind of meant something. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
that's kind of like when I think back on that as a golden age, I'm like, what made that a golden age? It's sort of that, the nasty, I mean, yeah, there was all sorts of nasty. I can't think of anything.
That's good.
I mean,
I mean,
wish,
you know
I
what?
had,
Yeah.
I'm 55 now. I was, in my early 30s then. I just wish I was very, very mouthy with my like opinions of
Mhm.
like sucked and what bit was hack, and which I think a
Mhm.
lot, but now I think I'm a lot
You fit in
better
well.
now
See,
than I was
that's
then.
how we all were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's like I didn't need to tell, this or that person what I thought of, and like I would tell myself a lot of those things like, why did I still like I didn't need to say that.
Yeah.
So I don't, I think I mean probably plenty of people I've got my friends from that time, and but I think there are plenty of people who just tell me I was an asshole. Um, I still try to like, I'd much rather be the person that another comic would come to and say like, "Hey, be straight with me. What do you think of this bit?" Um, and I think in the current Florida scene, I managed to be that person without needing to tell so and so, hey, that bit you're doing is just like you're just reciting a credit card commercial. It's not worthy of the stage that you only get to perform on because you're young and cute, or something that I might have actually
Mhm.
said to,
Mhm.
a certain comic or
I
several
I
others.
feel like I might know who you're referencing in
Well,
that
I
reference,
don't want to
but
drop any, but yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
one person who I was like a pretty big dick to. Um, and I'm not going to say I like that person's act, but there was no need to be, to
It's
be as
interesting
nasty or
Yeah.
to
I
hear
I
you.
would handle that much differently today.
Yeah, we all would, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all would. It was a highly competitive scene. We were all young. We were all drunk on the idea that we were artists. But it's yeah. I mean, I think my memory and Dan's memory of that era is pretty similar. But here's something that's fascinating that you don't hear a lot about, right? So at some point, you have this opportunity to
Mhm.
step away from stand up, and get a real job, get a real career
Mhm.
in a respected field. Was that hard for you to do? Was that a
Um, no, I mean, I was kind of frustrated with comedy when I walked away from it in 2006. So, I really enjoyed being back in law school. That was great. So that wasn't hard. And also if I had like gone to, you know, something and USF or something like that, it probably there would have been like a lot of, um, conflict in my like I would have constantly felt the
yeah,
pull and just
yeah,
been
yeah,
walking through like familiar terrain and like been
Mhm.
brought back into it. But
Mhm.
I was in Chicago, so there was like just this clean geographical break, which which is important because like by the time I had figured out that like I hated the actual like practice of being a lawyer, um I and I had another career. I was like in the scuba diving industry for a long time, but let's put that aside. I got drawn back into the legal profession, but also for the job I had to do, drawn back to San Francisco. And when I wound up back in San Francisco in like 2018, 2019, like all of a sudden the bug got back into me, and I was like, I don't know
Mhm.
like what to do with myself at night because it was just automatic from
yeah,
2000 to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
2006. Like the
yeah.
sun goes down, I go out and do a set somewhere or go to a show. So in 2019, I wind up like working on a court case back in San Francisco, and I'm like, I want to go do comedy again. So I got in touch with
Mhm.
my first comedy friend, who's Howard Cooperstein.
Oh my God.
And we had been out to see Clusterfest in San Francisco in like 2018, 2019 when John Mulaney came through. And I'm like, hey, have you done a set in years? He's like, well, it's been like, 3 or 4 years. I'm like, it's been 13 years for me, but I want to go out and do a set. So I went online, I found like, okay, there's some places that, the names I'm familiar with. It's like they're still doing an open mic. And we went down, and like the first mic I went to, Danny Ditchy was running the list.
Yeah.
And
Another
like,
mainstay. Yeah.
there were people at the mic that I went to in 2019. This is 13 years after my last set, which was at Rooster Teeth Feathers in 2006. And I walked in, and there were people who were at the first mic that I did at the luggage store in 2000.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of an
Or some of the
interesting,
same people.
it's an interesting phenomenon to see. Like you
Yeah.
can, I don't want to use the
A
word
career
stuck,
open micer.
but yeah, I mean, people at any rung of the ladder, that's it, and it's interesting to hear you say like 13 years later, you go back and you see the same people, and I bet they're doing the same jokes.
David Kleinberg, remember?
Oh,
Is that-
yeah.
yeah, he was
yeah.
there. He was at the first
Yeah.
mic I went to in like 2019.
Wow. So, okay. So you jump back into, and I remember, I can't remember what maybe I reached out to you on Facebook or something, but I asked you about a specific joke you
The
had.
arc joke.
The arc joke, right? About anyone who believes, well, you tell the joke. Tell the joke.
I told that joke last night. At a don't tell. So now I had a religion chunk, and then I say like, hey, I make fun of, I don't care what anyone believes. The only thing I don't like is when people act like the stories in their books are literally true. Like, how do you believe one guy, but 2 leopards, 2 tigers, 2 lions on a boat if you've ever driven a cat to the vet?
Yeah.
And
I remember it's a great
different thing now where I go into like, taking a cat to the vet, and there's a whole drug thing, and lemur blood gets involved.
It's a great bit, and I don't remember. I think I had a whole bunch of religion stuff, and I was trying, this will happen, I think, a lot of times in comedy where you're like, wait a minute, am I remembering someone else's bit, or did I, you know what I mean? And I remember reaching out to you, I think, on Facebook, and I was like, oh, are you still doing that bit? And you were kind of like, no, I'm not really in comedy, but what was interesting to me was there was this sense of ownership.
Guarding the...
Yeah. And you were like,
I can probably find that.
I might, I'm like, I might jump back in. But it's my bit, and I don't want to.
I think I remember the exchange, because it was like, are you still in town? I'm like, no, I'm in law school. I stopped doing comedy, and then it was, can I have arc bit? Or can I have arc joke? That was it. Yeah,
I remember that.
It's such a good joke, and yeah, I mean, but anyway, it's fascinating to me that
I'm on the opposite coast, and I do the parrot joke all the time. So
as you should,
punched
but
out of the sky.
Let me jump in for a second.
Yeah.
Mark, where are you in Florida?
I am in the great city of Boynton Beach, Florida, which it's a couple towns north of Boca Raton. It's a couple towns south of like Palm Beach and Mar-a-Lago. So it's Atlantic Coast, Palm Beach County, about an hour 15 north of Miami.
Close to Palm Beach, are you? Great. And what's your career looking like? Are you headlining clubs?
So I'm headlining like smaller rooms, and just trying to get my foot in the door at more and more places. There are, probably 5 or 6 clubs in Florida that I headline. I'm trying to like leverage people I still know. Robert Mack went out and headlined the Comedy Fort, which is a fantastic club in Fort Collins. I went out and featured hit for him there. When I first got back in, Heather Woodhull still runs Rooster Teeth Feathers, and I was like, who's gonna know me? But so that's why that, and the fact that I still know people in the Bay Area, I've come out and featured for like Laurie Kilmartin and other people at Roosters. I was just back a couple of weeks ago. I did a feature for Jen Cobra at Roosters, and then I did the Throckmorton. So yeah,
Great.
I'm like, I mean, I can headline pretty much not that anywhere is going to headline me, but like I can handle myself on stage for, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about
but,
that.
But I'm not going to draw. And
yeah, I could see that. Here's the amazing thing. If I could just,
I'm a solid, A room feature, and
and that's what you're doing now. You're back to it.
Yeah.
And are you comedian full time?
No, I mean, I do. So I do a couple of different things. Gary Cannon a couple of years ago hooked me up with a gig doing charity auctions, which the qualification for which is basically not shitting yourself when someone hands you a microphone in front of a room of strangers, which is the same qualification, the same callus you build as a comedian. And then I don't like represent clients or anything anymore, but I do a lot of work like training AI systems on legal reasoning. So
interesting.
Nice.
Which is good because I can as long as I have an internet connection, I can go around the country, and it justifies taking a good feature spot that is not going to pay me enough to cover the airfare in the hotel, but I'm sitting in the hotel and I can at least get myself to break even and probably get myself into the black. So it allows me to reach out and say hey, I'm going to be in the neighborhood anyway. I'd love to feature for so-and-so at this club I've never been in, and, play the game.
Here's what again. So I have this interesting perspective of, I knew you then. I watched you on YouTube prior to this, and now I realize who you are. So I didn't take it's not like I took a lot of time judging you. I didn't judge you more than I judged anyone else.
I
judge everybody.
This is the stuff
But my sense of you back then was that you're a very smart, good joke writer. A little bit of a Larry David thing, where you're kind of smarter than everybody, but you don't always know how to make that work.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And
I remember a particular set
in my head that's still kind of there, where I want you to not like me, but succumb anyway to the funny, right? It's you can't help but laugh, but you don't want to have a beer with me. You don't like me as much as the last guy or the next woman, but you sat there laughing the whole time. Right. And that's not I shouldn't, for the sake of just being prickly, that shouldn't be there as a performer. But yeah, there is some of that, but that's very interesting. I think that's considering how rarely you probably paid any attention to what I was doing. I think you nailed it.
So I remember one set at the Punchline. I think it didn't quite, it didn't go the way you wanted it to.
A lot.
And I remember you said this. You go, "I've been Mark Christopher. You've been a crowd. Good night."
That sounds.
And
that's
a little bit of
that's
that.
Not the nastiest thing I've ever said.
Right. Yeah. Just a little bit of that. Clearly you're a smart guy and you get comedy, and the potential's all there, but maybe a little bit of again, Larry David, impatience to just you just got to go up in front of people. You just got we all have to find a way to make it work with people.
Yeah. And I think most comedians think they're smarter than they are, and I'll include myself in that. But you come into it, and one of your defense mechanisms, I'm not going to try to do the psychoanalyst job, but is to call out the pearls before swine situation to the crowd,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Which is like
Mhm.
always
Yeah.
very, unless you've wrapped it up in a bit, which already means you have a little bit of distance from it. But a lot of people like get on stage not planning to do it, but then when something goes south, and like almost all of my like, it was very rare back then that I would do 5-7 minutes in front of a proper club crowd, and like everything would go well. Right.
Mhm.
When you can do that, then like you just go to the feature level, right? When it's like,
Mhm.
you didn't have anything that just completely flatlined. I would have stuff that like that one worked, oh, flatline, and then it would be, it would be like a graphic
Mhm.
equalizer. But like a lot of times you have that instinct not to just go on to the next one, but to then call out, oh, you guys didn't get that one. And yeah, I was
Then
very guilty of that.
I'm watching you yesterday on YouTube, not
Mhm.
knowing who you are, and my impression of you was, oh, this is just a really humble, funny guy
Hmm.
who's, and I didn't make the connection, but I was like, yeah,
Well,
this is just a really funny
I'm gonna.
joke writing guy that
Hmm.
actually has the patience to, I was watching kind of, you're playing up a little bit of an older white guy,
Hmm.
and,
Yeah.
and
Um.
and it was a total contrast. Like I saw you as you're making the best of what you've, of
Right.
you're
The
connecting.
best of his
That
limited
came off
gifts.
wrong. You're connecting. You are taking
yeah.
the time to connect with a crowd, and you have good jokes.
You've managed to fool us, Mark. You've managed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I mean,
It's like it's totally working.
was there
you.
conscious thought in trying to figure out, hey, how do I bridge that gap? Was there some kind of introspective moment where you're like, I got to figure out how to do this a little bit more neatly? Or, I mean, and we've all been guilty of it, especially in that era, especially in that
Right.
time
Yeah.
where we all
right.
were like patting ourselves on the back for like, that was brilliant material. What the fuck is wrong with you people? And,
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
but
Well,
did you
and
make
just let
an
me.
effort?
One thing about the community back then, like I find there's a lot more. There was a lot more of that, like bit by bit analysis. You would come off stage and somebody would say, you have a new tag for the such and such. Oh,
Yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
and there would be, everybody would know, oh, did you hear, like, Al added a new thing to the Chili Willy bit. I mean, it was just, or what,
Mhm.
whatever it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew everybody's act inside and
yeah.
out. So if somebody changed something, you were and
Yeah, which is why.
because we were all acutely aware of what everybody was saying, it also, when you were on stage, I always felt like there was a part of my head that wasn't really present. I was like, I wonder what so and so in the back of the room is thinking. I
Right, who's
wonder,
gonna,
yeah.
and you could hear them,
That
like,
messed with me.
Yeah.
I would always know, like, I would drop something and like I would, and it was Guy Branum. I'm like, oh, okay, that one. If nobody else got it, Guy got it, so it's gonna work for the
But
certain.
was there over the years, did you feel
so
like there was a softening or an awareness or an ability?
I mean,
'cause
I think I just, I did go to law school. I matured to some degree, but also just like walked into enough rooms where it was clear that I'm not like the smartest guy in the room. And like the problem with the world is not that it's not, up to the level that I require, my standard for like an ideal audience member. So there was some of that. But so that's definitely true. My perception though of like if you ask, was there an approach is like, let me study like how to go back and watch, like what clip, Dan, was it where I seem humble? I'll study what I'm doing there. I think really
Everything I know, just to
I
me,
was kind of
people,
teasing,
I
but
believe
like,
people
that
wind
might
up.
be one way to do it. It's like, oh, you thought like, what is it that, because I don't really understand what I'm doing, but my perception is like when I came back, I've now brought like older things back into my act, like the arc joke and a few other things. But like I started off like with none of my old material. Like I'm just going to write everything new.
Mm.
And my perception was that I'm a better joke writer than I was before, that I'm better at it. And so and I think a lot of people who like have my style were just like joke, joke, joke. Like the jokes
Hmm.
are kind of your shield, right? Against kind of like being too vulnerable on stage. But then once the shield was thick enough and impermeable enough, then I can stand out in front of the shield, knowing that even if I take a little bit of damage, the shield is strong enough, I can move the shield back in place. So
Okay,
it just
Iron
gave me that
Man.
level of comfort. It was like the material
Yeah.
became strong, or I thought like I had
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
of an act that now I can like step out from behind it more comfortably and more often, and like still know that I'm never too far from the shore that I can't reach it.
What's your relationship with social media? Like one of the biggest things that I think we can all agree on that's changed in the business is social media, for good and
Hmm.
for bad, right? Like people
Yeah.
are creating their own tours based on followers that they're getting from TikTok and Instagram. And it's been an amazing thing to see. And people will say, hey, it's really removed the gatekeepers, but in a weird way, it's made us more competitive with each other, and then everyone's trying to figure out the algorithm.
Right.
Um, and I think as older guys, I'm up against trying to get material out there,
Yeah.
and it's fascinating to see what works, what doesn't work. But what's your experience been like with social media?
I I think I do reasonably well with it for someone who's my generation, and like my
Hmm.
Instagram at the moment seems to be growing. Um, there are other things that where I'm just completely derelict. I should have been like working with Facebook and YouTube, but I'm sort of getting there. Um, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating when I look at like a major club's upcoming shows and I see people I don't like recognize, and I Google the names, and 3 out of 4 of them are obviously web personalities. But then like the perspective I try to maintain is I remember like even that golden era, you would be talking about like somebody got one of the 4 HBO specials for that year, or one
Hmm.
of the
Hmm.
6 Comedy
Yeah.
Central specials
Yeah,
that
yeah,
year. And like, and it was, and I remember, like the
that's
Kevin
right.
Shays, the first guy I knew who had a channel on, or who was even putting stuff on YouTube, and people were like, "Really?" It's like we didn't know what that was. And putting your act on YouTube, that's
Hmm.
like handing your child to a Manson family member to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
So, but like just to put in perspective, like how much larger the market is for comedy.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, are there going to be some things? It's like as that expands so massively, like whatever it is, it's not exaggerating to maybe say the market's 100 times the size of what it was at this point. Obviously, there are going to be some people in there who have been devalued, or who have to find another path. And there's some people who would not have made it through the old gatekeeper system, and a lot of those old
Hmm.
gatekeepers are, some of them were doing valuable work and they're not as important as they were. And I would love it if some of those old gatekeepers were able to just like hit me over the head with a magic wand and say, you deserve to have this or that status in the new world. But like, I definitely wouldn't want to go back to, okay, yeah, everything has to go past the gatekeeper. But by the way, the
Hmm.
gatekeeper is once a year. I remember Eddie Brill coming to Cobb's, Joe, and you did your act, at the height of your powers, and he told you, "Oh yeah, there's nothing here, right, that you could do on TV." Remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, here's one of
vividly.
your like,
Yeah.
and that might be the guy,
Mhm.
or like
Yeah.
the last comic standing
And
people
by the
come
way,
around and like,
can we take
yeah,
a
yeah, you do
just
one joke and they wave you out of the room, and then
Yeah.
Vlad
do we
Klinin.
have a moment of silence for Eddie Brill's act? After because the phone book is no longer used
Right, it's no
anymore. That
longer
was
a
he
thing.
had
I mean,
yes.
the
Can we just have
irony.
a moment of silence for
Well,
25 minutes of
we could.
Brill material?
That
There,
wasn't to shit on you, Joe, but just like
no,
this
not
is
at
what
all.
it,
That's no.
this
I
is what, like, you
remember.
think back, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I used to get this because, I had
Yeah.
Molly at the
Yeah.
punchline, and Molly knew every comic in the
Mhm.
country, and she would
Yeah.
only put up the best people. But then hey, here's a big chance to, or the guys for Comedy Central came through one time, and Jasper Red forgot his second joke on a showcase. Sorry, buddy, that was your chance. It's
I
like,
mean, yes, the opportunity to grow an audience it's never been better. It's
Yeah.
never been bigger. It's
So-
also allowed, I think, a lot of crap to come through, and then guys like Eddie Brill. I mean, just I don't know how many people listen to our podcast. I mean, I think a lot of comics of that era, they will tell you that they have a very, very they have mixed emotions about Eddie Brill as a person,
Sure.
as a comedian, and if Eddie was being honest with himself, he would probably own the fact that a lot of people have a lot of mixed feelings about him,
Mhm.
to be judged by somebody whose act nobody thought was that great,
Mm.
Mhm.
and then you have a lot of the personal issues that Eddie carries, it's
Well, he
fascinating.
used to book
And it's-
Letterman.
Go ahead, Dan.
He's not a gatekeeper anymore, is he? He used to book Letterman. That's
he's
all I know.
very. I mean, he kind of had a he had a spectacular downfall.
Yeah.
There was a magazine article about how he wielded that power specifically over women. And
Oh,
yeah, and
Yeah.
he of course argued that, oh, look, a lot of this is not true and it was a hit piece, but plenty of people that we all know were like, no, that's how he was, and he enjoyed it. He enjoyed having that power. But then you'd see him on stage because I watched him at Cobb's, and his act was terrible. To be honest about it, it was a lot of exactly what you thought it would be, because he was a warm up.
Yeah, it was
show
very
comedian.
warm.
And that's what it was a lot of like, hey, a round of applause for but there was no jokes. There was nothing of depth there, and he would present himself as this knowledgeable stand-up comedian who looked for the best. And then I think he enjoyed saying to me, like, there's nothing there that you can do on TV, and now people can put it out on TikTok, people can put it out on Instagram, people can put it out on YouTube, and there is an audience for it, and you don't need to go through that process. So in a lot of ways, the social media thing has changed.
Look at whatever was the biggest like YouTube video of all time. I think it was like Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend for a long time was the most watched video of all time, and now it's like that's been eclipsed by 37 different versions of Baby Shark, and then so like I don't feel like I believe me, I have every sympathy with like, oh, I wish like this opportunity were just a matter of I go and talk to somebody who knows comedy backwards and forwards, and I audition, and then they give me a thumbs up and thumbs down, and then I just try to do that again and again. I think my odds are better than trying to win what is obviously a young person's game, but I also feel it's kind of like the producer of the Avril Lavigne video complaining about the guys who make the Baby Shark videos, which are not only more popular, but have also just expanded YouTube viewership 50-fold since the days of that older video. It's like the fact that we're all fighting over this enormous, pool of money now that's in comedy, often like disappears from these conversations of, I long for the days of 30 clubs and, oh, this guy, have you talked to Dennis Miller's brother, or, are you with Katz or Gersh? I mean, it's like,
Yeah. It
you
was a
know,
very, it's almost impossible. I don't want to sound like old man comedy, but it's almost impossible to explain to a comedian who's under 30 how small the scene
right.
really was. And you're right. When you say 30 clubs, you're talking about from the East Coast to the West Coast, there was really about 30 A rooms in the
Yeah.
country where if you could just get into one of them, you were feeling pretty good about yourself. If you get into 5, man, you were making it, and it was a very small scene. And yeah, you were always trying to get on TV. I remember spending months going back and forth emailing the comedy booker for Craig Ferguson. And he had seen me, he liked me. I sent him a video. We kept going back and forth. And finally, I remember this vividly because I was on the road doing a bunch of one-nighter shit gigs. I was somewhere in Michigan, and I finally got the email that I was waiting for. Either like, okay, we're doing it, we're not doing it. And he goes, hey, some people raise the concern that doing a bit about the Confederate flag might offend a whole region of the country. And I remember reading that, and I'm walking to a shit gig I don't want to do, in the middle of nowhere, thinking like this is
Right.
going to be my opportunity to get a leg
It's
up.
Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson.
Right.
Yeah.
But just like being blown away and having that layer of like, oh my
Mhm.
God, it's such a good bit. And yeah, it's the flag of the losing side. I don't know how many times people have to hear that, but but they were like more worried about losing viewership or getting, emails like, how dare you put that on? And then
Right.
just being so hurt and resentful. Like, well, I guess I'm stuck doing these shit shows in the middle of nowhere for the rest of my life. And now you have a bigger stage. You
Right.
have a much wider audience. Yeah.
The
Right.
the weird thing is, it's like, yeah, like the hopeless feeling of like you've been trying. There's like you see this one path to the light,
Yeah.
and like, and
Yeah.
like it does, and as soon as it opens a little bit, it's just to tell you that, like, yeah, there's no, like, we're just
Mhm.
going to tell you that we're going to close this opportunity for you, and like the hopelessness of like, after that there's nowhere to turn.
Yeah. It just
It's
felt
now been
awful.
Right.
replaced by like so many opportunities, but like,
Right.
but that like you probably just like, well, if you can't accept this bit, like, I'm not going to pander to open that little opportunity again. I like, I'm not going to do that.
It was
But the weird
so
thing now is like,
frustrating.
you can make anything work, but it's like, well, why wouldn't I just pander the whole game? We know what the game is. The game is trying to drive the numbers up. So there's almost,
Yeah. Oh my God.
even though you have so
the
many
stuff that it
opportunities
is.
to not
Yeah.
pander, there's almost like, it's invalidated the question as to whether you should pander. Well, of course you're going to do it. It's like, somebody
Well,
out
now
there's going to like it. Somebody out
Yeah.
there's going to hate it. Whatever. It's all just a numbers game.
Now the question is, how do you pole vault over this ocean of noise? How do you distinguish yourself from all, and a lot of the stuff that's out there, man, it is like, it's hate speech with a laugh track, or it's incredibly hacky, or it's like the worst comedy that you've ever seen, and yet the person has 3 million followers. And because the industry has changed, I'm being told by people that I've known forever, like, Joe, love you, but you don't have enough followers to book. And here's the thing, I got to respect that, because I get that on the other end of that, there's a club trying to make money and sell tickets. And it's hard. Like, if you still want to hold on to the idea of being an artist now, when it's been commodified in ways we never could have imagined back then, never could have imagined back then,
Well, I mean,
it's
I'm
hard.
sure if Van Gogh had his druthers, he wouldn't have died poor, and the same for many artists. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, it's, I don't want to be disloyal to my generation, but like the complaints about like, that people are getting this or that from YouTube, it's more just like, I wish I'd been young. I wish
Yeah,
I
I
was young at this
agree.
time. I wish I had runway out
And
in front of me so the actuarial table
yeah,
wasn't as
yeah.
gloomy. Right.
And Joe and I I mean, we've talked about this many times, but this idea of the LA opportunities, the little window opening and closing, at the end of the day, from my point of view, we were always just kind of on the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And mm, it wasn't,
Kind of
it
illusory.
was not that, it wasn't that rigid. In other
Mm,
words,
right.
those that had the courage to really dive in, some of our colleagues that we know that just weren't so intimidated and desperate and were able to just kind of dive into that game, did and knew who they were, knew what they had to offer, were fine and continue to be fine.
Yeah, I think that's another thing as well. It's like the discipline barrier is kind of reduced by social media because it is fairly
Mhm.
easy to post. But like, yeah, the Dane Cook went out and like rounded up 1 million MySpace followers, right? And then so this like that was the first guy to really explore this
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
concept, and then became a headliner. And then other people like, hey, I know what my character is. I'm going to go write a pilot, and pitch yeah, there were paths, but it was part of this like nostalgia is looking back and thinking like, oh, I had better excuses to be lazy and just to show up and do my gigs and wait for somebody to
Yeah.
tap me on the shoulder and tell you that you're ready for the
Yeah.
next level, or
All
you're
true.
like, you're
Yeah.
ready for
We
LA, you're ready
had
for New York. Bad
our age
mythology.
group didn't have, we had bad mentors. We had people telling us, smell A is blah, blah, blah. They don't even care this or that. You don't even, you're, yeah, you're not there. You're not really doing it.
Dan, I think we've come up on that time, buddy.
Okay.
You know,
Okay, Mark,
This has been so much
our,
fun. Right?
this
well,
is the
before you go,
this is the
Yes.
big
Mark,
question, buddy.
this is the big question we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
Now, Mark Christopher, you have, um, you came into the comedy world,
Mhm.
just a young punk, a young, smarter than thou new comedian, and
Mhm.
you came up against it. You looked it in the eyes with courage,
Mhm.
and you started to make headway in the Bay Area, and
Mhm.
you gained respect in the Brainwash and many other laundry places. And then you decided to take it. You took a
Mhm.
diversion. You went back to college. You became a lawyer, which is no small feat. And you grew up in the process. And everybody does it their own way. And your way was to actually go become a lawyer and come back. And now you are this very
Middling.
solid, middling to headlining comedian, and you're on Instagram, and you have led this well-rounded life and come back to comedy your best self. And our
Mm.
question to you is, do you feel like a success?
Um, no, with a small qualification.
Okay.
I am, when they ask people, are the people who are happy, who report being happy, it's usually about like their trajectory and not where they are. So I
Yeah.
feel I'm on a very good trajectory and I'm okay with where I am, but
Mhm.
I'm very happy and I've got kind of like a sense of excitement about my life that belies my age.
Mm.
Is that okay?
Okay.
We will
Yes. No,
accept that answer.
I love the straight no, because that's, to me, that's a real comedian.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Am I a success?
There's no way to call me just a straight up success. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
The
honest.
question is, do you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel that
And
way.
the
I feel,
answer is
I feel
no.
like,
I
I feel like I'm a
appreciate
good
that.
comic, and I feel like I'm, the road ahead is bright, and I really enjoy my day to day. If you ask me
Nice.
if I'm a success, no.
Very nice.
All right.
Nor am I. Joe, you?
Look, let's not go there.
I assume
All
nothing's
right.
changed.
Can I tell you one? Can I tell you one thing?
Sure.
Why I raised? I feel like I've done nothing but shit. Well, I did mention stealing the parrot bit, so I don't want to like shit on Joe and compliment Dan. But the reason you came up, Dan, when I was talking to Robert Mack a couple of days ago, is I used you as the example of when a comic who otherwise works clean can get very good mileage from dropping a single bad word. Because in your act, you had the bit about gay temping, right? And you went into the temp office and they said, our goal here at Vandalay, it wasn't Vandalay, but the Industries, is to service the customer with pride, yada, yada, yada. And you said, well, let me tell you about my goals. My goals are to do as little work as possible and fucking steal from you. And it's that one, and I'm like, you got so, that's where.
Thank you.
That's exactly how
fucking
you should
steal from you.
Right. Fucking steal from you. It was like 20 minutes into the act. They hadn't heard a bad word from you. And then that one hit. And I'm like, that's, you know what you're doing.
It was a special pause. It was a fucking steal from you. It was as though I was
right. You and fucking steal from you. Right. It was, I just like, this is it. How do I make this sound? Well, let's just say it. Yeah. So anyway.
And by the way, it's funny.
Still being taught in better
back on acts,
comedy colleges and clown schools today.
I appreciate that. The funny thing is, gay had nothing to do with that bit. It's funny how it all meshes together. Gay temping.
No, it did because it was a callback because when you announced later that you had your episode or your period of time, you would say, oh, I feel the crowd pulling back. It's like, you're like, wait a minute. You talked about temping. I didn't know it was gay temping.
Episode of no. You're right.
I would call back and be like,
so now you're judging the first part of the act. Thank you.
The bit was not about temping, but it was. You always did the callback.
Yeah,
reminded them, hey, I'm still the guy that you thought was straight when I was talking about temping.
That was such a good set. If I was gay, I wouldn't be here fucking right now.
Well, you just got a hand job from Mark, so come on.
Thanks, buddy. It was great to see you again.
Hipster Civil War General. Come on. I love your stuff too. It's
okay. It's okay.
Mark, it was a real treat to see you. I really mean that. I didn't know who you were.
100%.
Until I saw you, I was like, wait a minute. I know that
100% sincere. Please edit out the whole bit about...
No. Oh, no. We're not editing anything.
That roast joke, because I feel...
No, we're not editing anything. We're keeping it all in, buddy.
Let's talk about that. Like and subscribe. Peace out, everyone.
Like and subscribe. Peace out.
Wonderful to see you. Take care.
Great to see you, Mark.